god, this was this was painfully average.
Gear up, guys. No! Sleep! Till Brooklyn! No! This isn't working!
We keep failing.
No! Sleep! Till Brooklyn!
Keep the team unified, and you shall always succeed.
Here we go! Cowabunga!
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows is the sequel to the 2014 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This film basically follows the Turtles as they try to save the world from Krang, and holy shit, this is just the most average, frustrating film I've seen in a long time. So let's get into it. First of all, I want to get into a positive. The first film basically focused way too much on Megan Fox's character, April O'Neil, and kind of sidelined the Turtles, where they felt like supporting characters. This film fixes that. You follow the Turtles throughout. And hey, that's a good thing, because the Turtles are actually well portrayed here and they are entertaining to watch, so thank God they fixed that issue. This film also has the whole cast of the first one returning, but it also adds a lot of characters into it. You have Casey Jones being added, Bebop, Rocksteady, Krang. And I have to be completely honest, a lot of the characters in this film could have been cut completely. So let's start off with like one of the main ones that could have been cut, which is Casey Jones, played by Stephen Amell. This guy, like, is just kind of there because, hey, it's Casey Jones. Fans would like to see him in the film. And he just really doesn't add anything to the film itself. Like, I thought about some of the scenes that they could have cut and wouldn't have mattered to the plot, and then others that I felt like, well, I think Megan Fox's character could have done the same thing he's doing in that sequence, or whenever they're both together, I feel like she could have been alone and would have been fine. And you know, Stephen Amell, he portrays him in this kind of like comic relief way, which I thought was weird. I actually wanted something a little bit more serious. Bebop and Rocksteady, those guys actually were pretty cool. I actually enjoyed seeing them on screen, and they were pretty entertaining. So whenever they were on screen, I was actually feeling pretty entertained. And I wish there was more scenes with those two dudes. Then you have Krang. Krang, he's just kind of like that. It definitely feels like that end boss from a video game. Like, he's just kind of there for the end. He does pop up once early in the film, but then he just pops up at the end, and he just kind of wants to rule the world. That's it. There's nothing to him. He's just there to fight the Turtles at the end. He looked fine though. But there was nothing like really menacing about him. Like, oh shit, they're fighting Krang now. Like, holy crap. There really wasn't. Like, he was just there. Shredder, also in the film, fourth villain in the film. He is completely useless, even more useless than Casey Jones. He's just here because, well, he is the main bad guy in the franchise, so they had to put him in there. But he is completely fucking useless. He didn't do jack shit. And once you see the film, you'll completely get 100% why I say that he's just completely useless, didn't add absolutely anything, wasn't menacing, just a fucking waste of time. Splinter as well, he's in the film, and he never has that Splinter moment where he talks to the turtles and gives him some good advice. He gives advice, but it's really simple, stupid advice that anybody can think of on their own. There's nothing really like, oh wow, like I did not think about that before. Nothing. So he was also just kind of there, didn't really add anything to the film. And then you have like Vern, for example, the cameraman, as well. Could have been really kind of cut out. Like there's just so many characters that they just didn't need to be in the film. They're just in there because they're Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles characters. They could have left it at, I think Krang, Bebop and Rocksteady, the Turtles, and April O'Neil, and it would have been completely fine. And maybe Splinter, but if they actually had Splinter actually do a little bit more, especially with like advice to the Turtles and stuff, since the Turtles do actually have like some conflict between them in the film, and it really felt like Splinter could have added to that, but it just kind of felt like underwhelming. The action was fine. There's a couple of action set pieces in the film that were pretty entertaining, but they were the ones that involved Bebop and Rocksteady. If the action doesn't really involve Bebop and Rocksteady, it did feel kind of like okay-ish, like it was just not that special. And that kind of sucks because the film did have, like there were like some action scenes that could have been pretty entertaining, but it's just so like average. There's nothing really to it, nothing cool about looking at that action sequence. No real stakes. And that's really the thing with this film, though, that it's so average because it's not like bad, like you want to blow your brains out bad. But it's also like not like a really good film. Like you're just kind of sitting there watching, and at times you're entertained, at times you're kind of not. And I think the film would have been better if there had been less stuff in it, less characters, and it could have focused a lot more on that main plot. Because the film does jump around a lot, and so like, what's the main plot? I felt like they could have spent a little bit more time there and actually made it a little bit more interesting, fleshing out some of the characters more, because there are some story arcs here that are kind of interesting, but they don't really delve into it too much. And I don't want to get into spoilers, but specifically like the conflict that the Turtles are having between them, it's not that interesting, and it could have been really interesting because it is something they show in the trailer, in the first one at least. I don't know if the rest of the trailers show what would cause that conflict, but the film doesn't really go on and really explore it that well, and so you really end up like not really caring at all. And it is better than the first one, because at least here we actually follow the Turtles, and it is a little bit more entertaining on that regard, that you are always kind of like most of the time following the Turtles. But it could have been something pretty great, especially based on what the story is trying to be. But hey, they just dropped the ball so much. Like, you can definitely tell that the writers were thinking mostly about kids when doing this. And hey, like, I get it, it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but also kind of try to actually flesh things out a little bit more, and stop adding characters just for the sake of having those characters and pleasing fans. But because I'm pretty sure that the way that those characters that they've added are portrayed, most of them are not going to be that happy about it. So yeah, this is probably a film that, if you're not interested in the Turtles, just don't go see it. If you're a huge fan of the Turtles, then hey, go see it. You might actually enjoy it a lot. I personally just thought it was it's just like average. I'll probably forget about it in a week. And hey, well, at least it's better than the first one.